Hello and welcome to my channel. In today's video I will show you how to use ASP.NET Core SignalR to send messages to individual clients and groups of clients. This is one of the most popular topics on my website, as I've written articles on this subject before and I've written a book about it as well. But before we continue, I have an announcement to make. I have written this book called The Easiest Way to Learn Design Patterns. I have now released a new edition of this book which uses C# 12 and .NET 8 code samples. This book uses a technique based by cognitive science, which makes the process of learning design patterns quite easy. To find out more about this book and what is so unique about it, click on the link below. And now we'll get back to our topics of using SignalR to send messages to individual clients. So in our setup we have this project called Chat Application, which does represent a fairly convoluted chat application that uses SignalR. It is convoluted because we want to demonstrate all sorts of functionality available. So here's our chat hub, which is the primary hub used to demonstrate SignalR functionality. We have a variety of methods here. The send to everyone method is invoked by a single client, and we send the message, whatever came from client, to all connected clients. In send to others, we are sending the message to other clients. So in here, on the client's property of the hub object, we are using others property. This means that the message received from the client will not be sent back to the original client, but all other clients will receive it. Send to caller is the opposite of that. When we are using caller property, only the original client that invoked the hub method will receive the message. No other client will. We also have send to individual. In our example, we need to know the connection ID of the individual client to send the message to. When we pass the connection ID to the client method, we will be able to send the message to a specific client. We can also send the message to group. If we have registered a client within a particular group, specifying that group name will allow us to send message to all clients that belong in that group. There's also send to others in a group. If the current client that is invoking this method is a member of a particular group, then we can use others in the group method to send this message to all connected clients that are in the same group, but our original caller will not receive that message. Here, to demonstrate how to add user to a group, we have this add user to group method. To add the user, all we need to do is use the groups property of the hub object, invoke the add to groups async method, and then map the connection ID with the group name. The current connection ID of the currently connected client can be found by having a look at the connection ID property of the context property. Our context property represents the current connection context. This method demonstrates how to remove user from the group. It's a very similar concept, only this time we are invoking remove from group async method. Here we are also overriding on connected async, so by default any client that is connected to the hub will be added to the hub users group. Likewise, on disconnected async override, we'll remove the client from this group. Now we can have a look at our client setup. To do so, we will open our main.js file. And as we can see, for every hub method that we had a look at previously, we have JavaScript logic. The JavaScript logic is mapped to various controls on our page. We can have a look at our page. But the easiest way to see what the page is like is to open the application. So we'll launch it and we'll open it in the browser. Our client is available at localhost address with the port of 5001. Here we have all the controls. As I mentioned previously, it's fairly convoluted, but it's useful to demonstrate how these functionalities work. Here's the chat panel where all the messages will appear. I will open another instance of this application in a separate tab to demonstrate how two separate clients work. So, first, I will broadcast the message to all clients. If I click this button, I can see the connection ID of the user. And I can see that both of the clients receive that message. Then I can send a different message to other clients. So, as we can see here, the current client did not receive this message, while this client received this message. We can now do the same with set to self. So the client that has invoked the hub method has received the message, while this client didn't. We can now send message to a specific client as well. We know from here that this is the connection ID of our current client. So if we open another client, specify the connection ID as this, and specify message as this. We have received it. We also know the connection ID of this client now. And as we can see, this client received it. In a real-life situation, we probably won't be using connection ID. We'll have some logic in the background that maps the connection ID to something that is user-friendly, such as the name, maybe a person name or a profile name, something like that. But for the demonstration purposes, we're using the connection ID because this is what SignalR itself uses to identify a particular client. We can add the current user to a group. So, for example, if we call our group test2, we can see that current user is added to test2 group. And we also receive the message here saying that a user with a specific connection ID has been added to test2 group. If we then send this message to a specific group, we can see that this user has received the message. To demonstrate the next functionality, we need to add this client to the group as well. So we added this client to test2 group, so both of the clients are added to test2 group now. What we will now do is send a message to others in the group. As we can see here, this client did not receive the message, but this client did. We have a JavaScript error that we need to address later, but you know what this functionality is supposed to be. We can also remove the user from a group. So now, if I invoke send to group message once again from this client, the client that we just removed from this group did not receive the message because it's not a group member anymore. And this, in a nutshell, is how you send messages to individual clients connected to SignalR Hub and groups of individual clients. I hope you found it helpful, and see you next time.